Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of Face the Heels, episode 16. I'm your host, Ben Cornett. And tonight we got a lot of stuff to cover here on Face the Heels. As you know, last week, I just want to say first off, I want to apologize. Things kind of got a little off kilter with the show. That's nobody's fault. Uh, but I will take the blame because I kind of went off subjects. It was a wrestling show, you know, then we were talking about other stuff. So I do apologize for that, and we will keep this a wrestling show this week. Again, nobody's fault, no one's fault. That was just the way we rolled last week. So, but this week we are back. We're gonna talk about a lot of stuff here on the show tonight. So, and it's right there on the ticker. By the way, make sure you give it a like, share, and follow here. My social media handles are up there, as you can see: Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. So let's go ahead and begin. As you know, last week we saw a big return come back to WWE, and specifically SmackDown. That would be Charlotte Flair. She returned. Last time we, oh, excuse me, saw Miss Charlotte Flair was at WrestleMania 39, where she lost the SmackDown Women's title to Rhea Ripley. So that's been a couple months, but she is back. I'm not surprised she's back, but I am kind of surprised that she came back a little sooner than I thought. I thought maybe around SummerSlam or right before SummerSlam, she would return. But here she is. She's back, and already she's going to have a title match against Asuka for the what's now called the WWE Women's title. Um, and we'll mention that real quick. Be a nice little segue, which was introduced on SmackDown. From my understanding and from what I've read the last week or two, they're gonna no longer have a SmackDown and Raw Women's title. It'll be I guess right now the one Asuka has is the WWE Women's title, and I don't know what the other one's going to be for Rhea Ripley, but um, you know it'll be interesting nonetheless. They are going to present Rhea with a new title, so my thoughts on that is it's I guess it's okay. I mean, it's definitely better than what happened last time, where Charlotte and Becky just pretty much exchanged the titles on. I think it was either Raw or SmackDown, but that was to me a totally lazy, creative way to do it. And at least with this, it was a little creative, coming up with new titles. And I think we got a picture of the new women's title. If you haven't seen it, it is right up here, and there it is. That is the one Oscar has is, I guess this is the women's championship. Again, you have another champion on Raw. That's Rhea Ripley, another women's champion. Who There it is once again. If you didn't see SmackDown, this is the title. This is what Oscar's holding right now. So, um, not bad. It looks nice, decent enough. You know, obviously, it's also to move merchandise. That's one of the keys for WWE is they love to um, cash in on merchandise. So these new titles will probably sell pretty well right away at the stands for the fans. So, but yeah, this is going to be it's different, um, unique. Again, we don't know now. I just turned on Raw a little bit ago, so the only thing I've seen so far was Damian Priest beat Matt Riddle to advance to the Money in the Bank men's qualifying match. But again, I don't know if they're gonna have a women's title, a new one for Rhea tonight or not. But I assume they are within either tonight or the next week or so. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what transpires with that. And like I said before, Charlotte's gonna fight Asuka for the women's title on SmackDown this week. Um, I've heard a lot of complaints online, with Charlotte. It's like, again, come on, you know, like, why does she keep getting title shots, this and that? I get it, Um, she's. It seems like she's always in the title picture. The way I look at it is she's a top star. I mean, she's still gets the response from the crowd, whether she's a heel or a baby face. I've always said that she's a better heel, you know. As Jim Cornette would say, "Damn it, she's a better heel. God damn it!" But yeah, you know, but she's been a baby face as well. So, um, but she gets the response, and that's the most important thing. When you're a performer, you either get cheered or booed. You want that response. If you don't hear anything from the crowd, that means you're not over. You're not no one's responding. That's not a good sign. So Charlotte still gets responses whether she's a face or a heel, and that's why she's in the position she is. And yeah, I get it. Fans, I guess the one complaint I would say though, that I would agree with is why does she have to be in the title picture every time? Or excuse me, every time she comes back after a hiatus, she gets in the title scene. That I do understand. I don't think you'd have to put her in the title scene, but you could always do something with Charlotte. I mean, she's very versatile, great character. Um, Try to see if you can get some other women's wrestlers to work with her, get them who are starting to get up there or trying to get over. That would help. So, but I would say right now also the women's division hasn't been great in WWE. I would say the past few months, just not as strong as it used to be. I mean, the probably the most intriguing storyline right now, as far as the women go, is in WWE, I should say, is Becky and Trish. That's a good storyline. You got the Hall of Famer, who's done it for over 20 years. Then you have Becky Lynch, who's probably the hottest women's wrestler, you know, on the planet right now. So, other than that, you really don't have any key storylines. There's not. I mean, Bianca is over. Charlotte's over, but I feel like they don't have a lot of steam behind them. At least Bianca does. There's talk that within the coming weeks, Bianca might turn heel, which I think that would be. I'd be excited for that. That's a good um, something different. Something versatile to give Bianca. We've never seen Bianca Belair as a heel, at least on the main roster. I think she did that in NXT for a little bit, but um, as far as being, on Raw or SmackDown, we've never seen a heel Bianca Belair. So that would be intriguing. The question I would have would be, is now the right time to do it? I think right now I would consider her still one of the top baby faces along with Becky. Um, because Charlotte can always be a heel. She's better at that anyway, and you just wonder if would that work with Bianca. You know, maybe not. You can't. We don't know until you try it. So it should be interesting how that goes if that goes down the way it does. Because again, that's just rumor and innuendo that they're talking about moving Bianca to the bad side, if you will. Alex Schomburg, thanks for tuning in, man. What's up, Benji? Hey, Alec, how you doing tonight? Appreciate you coming on. Yeah, so I don't know if you've been watching Raw that much tonight. Again, I just got home a little while ago, so as far as the only thing I really saw was again Damian Priest defeat Matt Riddle for the qualifying match for a spot in the Money in the Bank match, and so that's all set now. Supposedly, you got Damian Priest, Ricochet, LA Knight, uh, Butch, I think's in it. forget who the other two are, but that's set up. As far as who I think is going to win that, I would say right now the favorite would probably be either Damian Priest or LA Knight. Um, so as far as that goes, it should be a good match. I can't wait to see it. The women's qualifying matches are, I think they still got one or two that they got to do, but Bailey beat, who was it, Mia Yim, or Mitchin, I should say, on SmackDown Friday night. She's in the Money in the Bank. So yeah, we're getting close. This is a few weeks away. That's Saturday, July 1st. Money in the Bank. It's in London, so it should be a really good show, man. Money in the Bank's kind of become one of the top 4 or 5 premium live events. You know, WrestleMania is the biggest. SummerSlam I would put number 2. Well, no, actually I'd put Royal Rumble 2, SummerSlam 3. I would put Money in the Bank 4, even over Survivor Series. Survivor Series has been kind of, although last Survivor Series was with the War Games was pretty cool. So, but I think Money in the Bank right now is number 4. So, as far as the top 4 or 5 in shows for WWE. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there. See what we got going on here. As you said, we got the new women's title. And speaking of titles, we saw that also this week. The WWE and NXT is going to combine their tag team title, the women's tag team titles. Yeah. I'm okay with that. I really don't think the tag team titles mean much in WWE, especially the women's. It's really, they've kind of devalued it. You know, currently the women's tag champs in WWE is Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. And, you know, again, I think that's okay, you know, but I just think that they really haven't been valued much, and they haven't been treated like it's important. You know, it's kind of been like an afterthought. It's like here, we'll give the women a tag team title, more or less. Okay. Like, I just feel like they haven't made it important enough. They haven't made us care about it. So if I don't care about it, then if WWE doesn't care about it, then why should I? You know? So they're going to combine them. The SmackDown, actually, the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions are on SmackDown, which is Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. You know, good tag team. I like them as a team, but to me, this feels like they're going to be fed to Ronda and Shayna, pretty much. So it's sort of like, kind of like dead on arrival, you know. And that's too bad, because I think Alba Fire and Isla Dawn are a very good team. Again, I like their, you know, their energy, their personas. I mean, but you know, I think they're going to drop to Ronda and Shayna. Hate to say it, you know, but that it just feels like that's the direction they're going to go, especially if you're going to combine those belts. So we'll see. I mean, I just feel like the women's tag team titles are, I don't care. Yeah, I don't know about you guys. Maybe you cared, but I don't. You know, and that's because WWE hasn't made us care. Really, the only women's tag team that, in my opinion, that has made me say, okay, I'm going to watch them, that I care about, were Bayley and Sasha Banks when they held the women's tag team titles. I thought they were great champions, and you know, and even then, like, WWE didn't really do much with them, you know, and I just feel like they made these just to make them. just so that way there can be champions for another championship belt for the women, and I just when you do it like that, it just shows you that it's not as important. And one of the things about, in my opinion, and this is for AEW as well, I just think too many titles, you know, they mean less. I don't think you should have a whole bunch of titles on WWE, AEW. Just have a few titles, make them mean something. Like I said, I feel like having two world champions is, I understand why you have to have a champion for your brand, but like especially with the AEW Collision show coming up, and we're gonna get into that in a little bit, but I feel like you have to have a champion for each show. I understand that, but I still think having one champion, world champion, universal champion, whatever you want to call it, one main champion, I think would work better. He can go on both shows, same with the women's, he or she can go on both shows and, defend their title. I think it would, give more value to the belts. And you can have like the Intercontinental title on one show and US title on another. That's fine. That's not a problem with that. But like the main titles, like the World Championship, your top title, I think should be held by one person, and they can go on both shows here and there. Now I get it. Roman Reigns has a lighter schedule now, so he can't be on both shows. So they had to make a world title for Raw, and I still think it's, I don't know. I still think that Raw title, world title that's on there, held by Seth Rollins, and Seth deserves it. I think he's the guy you want to put it on, but I still think it feels kind of second rate, in my opinion. That's all. It's to me, it's just second rate, and hopefully Seth Rollins can make it feel important. But he's got to have opponents, and I think from what I'm hearing, Finn Balor might be the first guy to do that. He might be the first opponent for him, like on a pay-per-view or a premium live event. So, and it's been said that Seth wants to defend the title frequently, more often on Raw, which that's fine. Seth, he's on the road all the time. Roman's not, that's in his contract. So, yeah. So, hopefully that title can be elevated. But right now, as we're sitting here, just my opinion, I think it's just, it's a second-rate title compared to Roman's, who, by the way, he got a world title. He got his new undisputed titles. So, that's cool. Better than the two belts, So we'll see. We'll see what happens. What I'm going to do right now is take a quick little break, but I will be back in about 30 seconds, so hang tight. I'll see you in about 30 seconds. And we're back here on Face the Heels. I had to take a little 30-second break for myself here. And right now we got Raw on. I'm kind of flipping back and forth between that and the excuse me, the NBA Finals. So, but the finals are at halftime, and right now you got Seth freaking Rollins. He is in the ring with Finn Balor, so that looks like that's going to be more than likely the title match at Money in the Bank. So I would expect Rollins to win, keep the title, um, and then like I said, it's probably going to be on him a while. So I think it would be a good match. Him and Finn will have, they're both very good wrestlers. They both can, put each other over. Can put on amazing shows. So I expect it to be a really good match if that's what seems like that's going to be the match. So for Money in the Bank. So yeah, this should be good. And it's good for Finn. Finn Balor is finally getting some love in there. I always felt he's been a little underutilized, but now he's getting his chance there to shine on Raw and be in the title picture. So, good for him. I'm happy that he's getting that chance. So, yeah. We're gonna transition over now. I said AEW Collision, AEW. That is this Saturday night. The show is finally going to debut this Saturday, June 17th, in Chicago at the United Center. Yeah, this should be a very interesting show. The main event has been advertised for that show. Tony Khan came out on Dynamite this past Wednesday and said that the main event will be CM Punk returning, obviously, as we all know, to his hometown, nonetheless. He will be teaming up with FTR, the current AEW World Tag Team Champions. And he will go up against Switchblade Jay White, Juice Robinson, and Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe. That's an interesting name. He's currently, Samoa Joe, that is, currently in Ring of Honor. He's wrestling there. So my thoughts on that, it's a good main event. Good way to get Punk back into the scene. Now, we all know the whole thing that went down last September at the AEW All Out scrum, as they called it, the press conference, and then CM Punk and his, at the time, Ace Steel, who was an agent for AEW and a good friend of CM Punk's, supposedly got into it backstage with Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks. Ended up being a fight, and we all know that Punk left after that. The Elite were suspended for, I believe, over a month or two. They came back in November. CM Punk, but also another reason why CM Punk was out for so long was because he had a torn pec and he had to get surgery. So he was going to be on the sidelines regardless, but there's a lot of back and forth issues going on. CM Punk not wanting to come back. Supposedly that's what we were hearing in the reports. There's contract issues, like, Tony Khan wants him back, needs to honor his contract, this and that. There's talk of maybe buying out his contract, but apparently that got all resolved. And, now CM Punk will be back in his hometown, Chicago, at the United Center. Again, I believe I've said it before in recent episodes of Face the Heels that, with this show, now I don't know if this is Tony Khan wanting another show, or, there's been reports that Turner wanted AEW to have another show because it was, to them, it's good advertisement and stuff, and that could be the case. And, if a network is telling you they want another show, then you're going to do another show. So, I hope it does well. Believe me, I'm an AEW fan. I want AEW to do well. I'm a fan of AEW, WWE, Impact, NWA, New Japan, MLW, whatever, even the other independent wrestling companies. I want wrestling to succeed, you know. And with AEW, they have a national television contract. They got a big platform, so and I think that's very important to have, especially when for the you know after 2001, after WCW was bought out by WWE, you only had WWE for a while, and you had TNA, but TNA wasn't really. It's kind of here and there, Um, it showed some promise, but it never really uh, panned out for them. I think they wanted to be too much like WWE, and it ended up backfiring. So, you know, um, but yeah, with AEW, coming into the fold back in 2019, it's been 4 years now, and you wonder, is it time for another show? Um, yeah, I guess you could, but with the Rampage not being as doing as well, especially on a Friday night, which is one of the worst nights to have a show on cable, you know. Um, and now you're going to have a show on Saturday night, which is going to be tough, because your core audience is going to be 18 to 49, and especially when you're in that more like the 18 to 34 age range. Um, most of them are going to be out. They're going to go out. They're going to go to parties. They're going to go to bars or any other social gatherings. And especially with TV nowadays, all you got to do is DVR it, so you can always watch it later. In fact, this weekend I am Saturday night. I'm going to a baseball game, so I'm going to DVR it and watch it either after I get home or watch it the next day. But yeah, it's going to be tough, for AEW to try to get an audience on Saturday night. If they thought it was tough getting an audience on Friday night with Rampage, imagine what Saturday night's going to do. Especially when you got college football coming up within the next couple months. Also WWE might have they do a lot of their premium live events now on Saturdays, so that's going to be tough. And I know the WWE PLE's premium live events are on Peacock, but still, I mean, if they're having a premium live event, WWE, and you're having Collision, then I'm sure most people are going to probably watch the PLE. Unless you're a diehard AEW fan, you don't even watch WWE, then you watch it. But so it's going to be a very tough to get a huge crowd going. At least right now, being that with Dynamite on a Wednesday night, you're kind of in that 900,000 fan range, ratings wise. I just think that it's probably too soon to have this show, but again, we don't know if the network was wanting to have this show for AEW for the advertising, or if Tony Khan wanted this show. So if it was Tony Khan that wanted this, by the way, Tony Khan, if you don't know, he's the president of AEW, runs it. Now, if Tony Khan wants this show, then I don't know. I don't know if it's so smart to have a second show, and I get it, and it's good for the talent because now more wrestlers are going to get some TV time and stuff like that. But I just feel like they need to really focus on what they have now with Dynamite, and then build it up. Get a get a good audience, improve your rating. Get it to like over 1 million every week. Get it to like a 1.2 or 1.3, and then kind of branch out into having another show. Carry that momentum into that show. And I just feel like right now, AEW doesn't really have that momentum. So, but that's just my opinion. Let's see if we can get another person's opinion on here. And let me bring him in. He is on here Almost all the time when his schedule allows him to. So let me bring him in. He is a good friend of mine, and he just got done doing a show with our good friend Sean Spencer. They were pouring their hearts out to all of us, to the public and everything. Ladies and gentlemen, the hopeless romantic, the one and only Nicholas Mario. How are you doing tonight, man? Thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you, Ben, for having me. Thank you. No, you know what? I'm good. Yeah, we did just finish our show, but I was like, I got to talk to my boy Ben. I haven't talked wrestling in a couple of weeks. I gotta make sure I get my opinions in here on the old AEW, WWE front while we're here, right, Ben? We gotta have some fun here. Let's go.
Yes. Well, Nick, what do you think? Saturday night is the debut of Collision. Mr. CM Punk returns. He is with FTR against Jay White, Juice Robinson, Bullet Club Gold. I don't know why they still have a Bullet Club, but
exactly.
And Samoa Joe will be the other guy in the game. I like it. I think it's a good main event to open up your show. I just feel like I don't know if it's the network that wanted this show or Tony Khan. Now, if it was Tony Khan, I would have waited a little while because you don't have that momentum right now with Dynamite. I think you got to build the show more. Now, I understand you got so many wrestlers, you need to put them on, give them some TV time. But at the same time, I feel like if this is the network, then I feel like this is more about money and advertising. You know, they're doing so well money-wise, advertisement-wise. Yeah. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think it's probably a little bit of all of that. Like, I mean, obviously, you know, they knew they were bringing Punk back at some point, right? Like, that conversation was always there. You had a feeling he was going to come back at some point. Well, how do you do that? It's got to be a grand scale. It's got to be something big, right? It's got to be in Chicago. And let's be honest about this main event. I don't know what his relationship with Juice Robinson and I forgot the other gentleman who's in the match, but Punk is like good friends with Samoa Joe and FTR. Like, who else was he going to wrestle with or against in this particular, right? The guys who actually like him in AEW are the guys he's wrestling with in that main event, right? Like, but yes, obviously this is with the new TV show. You want it to pop. You know the crowd is going to be electric in Chicago because every time Punk is even mentioned in the area, they go nuts. I mean, I've been to how many WWE shows there, and they still chant, "CM Punk." See, it's like he's not coming. Just shut up already. But again, this time he is there. It'll be AEW. It's at the United Center. It's going to be crazy. And it's going to be, again, I will not be there, even though it is in my hometown. I have to work that day. And long story. But anyways, I don't, we'll see what happens. Again, they're adding basically a third television show, a third. It's like, sometimes these things backfire. Now, again, I'm not saying it will, but now you're starting to saturate a little bit more with, now you've got, we've got, I guess if you really think about it, there's wrestling pretty much on almost every day of the week between AEW and WWE. You've got Monday Raw, of course. Tuesday is NXT. Wednesday's Dynamite. Which one's Wednesday? Dynamite?
Yeah. Thursday Impact.
Wrestling. And then Friday is the other AEW show.
SmackDown.
Yeah, and then Saturday now you've got the Collision here. Sunday, I don't know that there's a show right now, but again, that's the thing. Like and again, I'm glad that there's something else to watch besides WWE. I am glad with that fact. Right. But as you and I have talked about before, Ben, please don't try to compete with what WWE does. It's just they've been at it much longer than all of you guys. Stick to what you do best and go from there. You'll build your fan base. Everybody, the people who want to watch your stuff are going to watch your stuff. Okay, just be honest about that. There's a lot of reasons why we still watch WWE. A lot of it is out of habit, too. I mean, I've been watching wrestling since I was 3 years old. I watched NWA, WCW for how long, and then that folded. So then I turned my attention back to the WWE, then WWE, and it's like, I check in every week because I'm still curious as to what's going on and what's happening. And it's like, I mean, I've been a wrestling fan pretty much all my life. So, I mean, again, I hope it goes well for them. It's going to be a great debut, obviously, because, again, you've set it up that way. And your main event involves one of the biggest personalities in wrestling, whether he's wrestling or not. The guy's always mentioned. So you've got the formula there for a very successful debut and a successful evening. So yeah, we will see what happens. I'm very interested. I will definitely be trying to check out the replay of that event. And I'm sure, Ben, next Monday you will be talking all about it. So hopefully I can join you for that, and we can talk all about that next Monday. So yeah, I'm with you.
Sounds good. Again, I'll be at a baseball game, ironically, so I will not.
There you go.
But I will DVR it. I will watch it either after I get home, if I'm not too blasted, or I'll watch it next month. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
You missed. You didn't really miss much, Nick. We were talking about Miss Charlotte Flair has returned to the WWE. She came back to SmackDown this past Friday. Now, I get it. The fans. Oh, why? She gets another title shot. Why? Like that. Well, I still think she's one of the top talents in WWE. Heel or babyface, I prefer heel. She gets the response, and I said before. If she wasn't getting responses, she wouldn't be on. So, and we're gonna get a response from this guy here if we bring everybody.
Why in the hell does Charlotte Flair? No, I'm just fucking with you, man. You know what I would love to see in the WWE. Okay, an actual like a playoff thing, or somebody. Come on, AEW, somebody do this, please. I would like to see they start out the season with a battle royal, okay, and then they take the battle royal and they take each character out of that as far as where they landed in the battle royal, and pair them off. Okay, you guys got to play this. You guys got to battle this guy. You guys got to battle this guy. You work up to this guy, and cheer it. You know what I mean? And then have a real fucking championship. Well,
they kind of have that called the Royal Rumble, Johnny.
I get it, but that's like they don't cheer it off right. I mean, they'll put this guy against that guy for absolutely no reason. I'm talking about tearing them off as like the first two that go out, they're teared off. Okay, next two they're teared.
I got you.
And shit. Go on.
Okay.
No, I got it.
Instead of just picking fan favorites to match up and shit, do it that way. So it's like they're fighting for something. You know what I mean?
You always got to go by the fan respawn. Who's
no, you don't. Football, baseball, no other sport does.
Well, right. But here's the thing.
I know it's an entertainment show, and that's how it's always been. And it would be different, and it would be probably strange for people. But I would love it. I'm sorry, I'd just love to see it.
Oh no, I love to see different things too in wrestling, Johnny. But the thing is, as Ben was saying, the problem with wrestling and why it's different.
Wait, where'd Nick go?
Oh, there he is.
Like it's not so much that anybody goes. Sorry, wrestling is like a specific crowd. It's a specific type of people who like to go. Like they're they're fanatical about it, and they like who they like, and that's orientated what's happened. And again, they've made decisions based on other things. And crowd is revolted against him for it because it's like, boo, you know what I mean? Like, you're pushing, like, look at Roman Reigns, the perfect example.
What that brought that up in my mind is because he opened up by asking about Charlotte Flair and how everybody's, boo, boo. That would, you'd get a lot of booing and you'd get a lot of cheering too,
I'm with you. Like you said, I think Charlotte's better as a heel as well, but I also think, like, if they had someone on SmackDown currently that they could push outside of Bianca Belair, they probably wouldn't have to bring Charlotte Flair back in that position like that. And again, that's partly they're doing too, because what are you doing with the talent you have? Like, you don't push everybody, and there's certain people who probably should be pushed and certain people who shouldn't be. But the fact is, the way you've set this up now with the way you've put the rosters, there's not a lot of women on SmackDown who would seem like they'd be a formidable opponent for Asuka. You just haven't set them up that way.
Now, Nick, real quick.
That's why.
I interrupt you real quick, guys. But I mentioned earlier, like, listen, Charlotte, I get it. I will say, I don't think you have to put Charlotte in the title picture. I think you could put her with an opponent. Try to get that opponent over, not like Jim Ross I was saying, it's not who goes over, it's who gets over. If you can get somebody to work with Charlotte, then try to get them over. Charlotte wins the feud, because I think that's where I think you can utilize Charlotte at this point, because she's done it all. That's every title limit. So that's the only complaint I would have. But other than that, I mean, no, I don't have any complaints with Charlotte coming back. So, just my opinion.
That's why I'm hoping she loses, because I'm hoping that they're not. My hope is that they're not just going to throw the title back on her. I'm hoping that at least, she can put on a good match, because we know she will. But I'm hoping that Asuka still wins this match, because, again, you've just taken this. You've built Asuka back up. When she comes back, that's the new, the old heel Asuka is back. The music changes.
That's kind of the part that I don't like about it, because there are a lot of people that put blood, sweat, and tears into wrestling. They're going to be great wrestlers and shit. And some of them are really great wrestlers. And they don't have this image, or they haven't got the certain charisma or something. There's a couple of guys in there right now. What's his name? The one dude, the ring general, you call him. What's his name?
Oh, Gunther.
Gunther, yeah.
Gunther.
I think his personality is horrible, man. I hate looking at him. I hate watching him in the ring. But that's the kind of people that should get a chance to shine. You know what I mean? They don't just have to be like, throw the hair back and be superstars. They can just go out there and show their shit, man. And a real title run like that, it's still going to be, they're still going to push somebody, whoever they want in each tier, but you're still going to get a lot more focus on the guys that aren't up there yet. That helps push everybody. And it's better for all if you push everybody, make them all superstars. You know what I mean? Or at least give them a chance.
I like.
So you can't though. That's the problem.
But if you don't, you're stuck with 4 or 5 people who are your superstars, and you don't have a whole well-rounded platform.
Well, I like Zelina in this one. This is a good comment from Nathan. With the LWO, they're the hottest selling T-shirt right now. Take advantage of that. I think Zelina, that would be a good program.
LWO. What is that?
The Latino World Order. They were started
the LWO.
When the NWO was popular, then they had the LWO. That was with Eddie Guerrero, La Parca,
Mysterio. Okay, yeah. I remember that.
Mysterio. Yeah. So Latino World Order. Right, like I said,
I didn't know it was still out there.
Well, they brought it back. They brought it back for this, this purpose. Like Mysterio had the guys come out and help him because he needed backup. All of a sudden, boom. And Zelina was with them, so now they're all the LWO. And again, I'm glad they're pushing Zelina. And I think that was. I think she showed, and again, we talked about this, when they had the card in Puerto Rico, they gave her the match with Rhea, even though there wasn't a lot of build-up to it. But she showed that if nothing else, she could perform on a big stage. Like, she held her own in that match. They gave her spots. They were all good spots. She gave, it appeared that her and Rhea worked pretty well together. You know what I mean? And Rhea even said in interviews afterwards, she was very conflicted because as a person, she was very happy for the reaction that Zelina got. She was very happy to see her get that moment to shine. But of course, as her character, I'm going to beat you, no problem. I know that. But, again, that's what I'm saying. Like, you push people and you give them the opportunity to shine like that. And if they take advantage of it, then you continue to push them. Some people have gotten that push, Johnny, and have fallen flat on their face.
That's a good thing. If they fall flat on their face, they're out. Gives room for a new person.
That's what I'm saying. Well, yeah, I know. But that's what I'm saying. Like, there have been people who have been given that shot who shouldn't have been, and they proved they weren't worthy of it because they just fell flat on their face.
Right.
And so you get pushed down the court. I mean, somebody's got to be the opening match, right?
Remember when Cena first came in? He was nobody, right? Brock Lesnar broke his friggin' neck. He comes back and he's a monster again. He's a monster. He really was good. Okay, you gotta give him the shot. You might have a diamond in the rough like with Cena. Nobody really thought he was going to make something.
That's the thing, though, Johnny. You also have to build those guys up. You can't just throw somebody in there.
But you have a season. You have a whole season from the beginning. You got if they do it in this season. What's the beginning of the WWE season?
Well, the day after WrestleMania usually starts the new season.
Right.
Okay.
So
WrestleMania is a big event. They can start over. Yeah.
You take and have that.
Yeah.
They do have the Royal Rumble. They have the big Royal Rumble, but do it and then match everybody off in pairs for the rest of the season so that they're fighting for something, you know.
Yeah.
And then you get to
No, I
see the
got you.
matchups, and you get to choose which one of these guys. Okay, this guy's doing pretty damn well. I like him and shit. You know, he might have been unheard of before, or if he's not bringing in the audience, you have
Yeah.
to get rid of them. You know, and don't go with these full whole year runs of what do you call it, rivalry shit.
Yeah.
The whole year is surrounded by two people who aren't even fighting, and it takes up a lot of time. Make these rivalries on the screen where you can watch them. Give them 3 shots at each other, right? Best out of 3. Okay. The other guy moves on. So that gives you plenty of opportunity to see how this the guys are working out, and then they move up and they start wrestling somebody from the winner from the other tier, and the loser from the other tier fights the loser of that tier. By the end of the season, you've got a whole you got all the guys.
Right. Each year you want to start out with the tournament, is what you're saying.
Yes, yes. And then by the end of the season, you've got your WrestleMania event set up, and you've got the guys who you don't think are going to do well, and you can move them out and bring in a whole new crowd for the next season to work through. Not your top tier guys will always be there.
Your concept is actually used in New Japan Pro Wrestling. They have what's called a G1 Climax tournament. Starts in the summer, then they go in where they'll have like 4 tiers, you know, and then they'll wrestle each other in each tier, and then they'll have a semifinal and a final, and then the winner of that goes on to their WrestleMania, which is called Wrestle Kingdom, January 4th, to face the IWGP champion. So
that's always going to have your main event guys. You're always going to have those guys, but you're going to find new talent. You're going to keep finding new talent, and it's going to be in a way that is exciting for the fans to watch because it gives you more wrestling.
Yeah. Ronda Rousey was a wrestler. Now she's on Stars on Mars. Yep. Yeah, she's a tag team.
She is starting at Stars on Mars.
And Shayna are gonna.
All right, Sean says, but the fans have to accept them. That's how are the fans going to accept them if they don't get any airtime?
Yeah, no. We agree with that, Johnny. I don't know about the whole tournament idea. You know, it is a unique idea. They do it in Japan, but New Japan. But I think with WWE, it's more of the entertainment than the actual.
Yeah, but you're not losing your entertainment. You still have your main event people, and you're going to see more of them if you're making them wrestle.
But you have to build them up. You don't have to do that necessarily in a tournament. You have to build them up slowly. Now, one thing I'm surprised they don't do this anymore is vignettes when like NXT call-ups get up there. They just put them in right away. Nick, Johnny, remember back in the Attitude Era for like 6 or 8 weeks, you saw Val Venus, vignettes.
People were introduced to you slowly. Yeah, exactly.
You got to introduce the talent slowly. You want people to get invested in them. Like, okay, oh wow, he's coming soon.
I get that. I do. But there's a place for in building their talent. It's in the smaller rings where they've been working all their lives. These guys, when they get to WWE in the first place, they're not rookies. Okay, they've been at it for a while, and they've been trying. They're putting in their blood, sweat, and tears, dude. And they get accepted to the WWE. Give them a chance to shine with the other guys. That's all I'm saying. Let them go through this tournament. It's just like a baseball championship or football championship, except this we already kind of know three rounds with each guy during the season, and then you already know whether you're going to like this guy or you're not going to like this guy, whether he should move on or if he's a villain or a good guy. You're going to know everything you need to know about him, and by the end of the season, you can cut them and they can go to NXT or whatever the hell. You know what I mean?
They're kind of doing that now. You're seeing Baron Corbin going to NXT. You're seeing
they're doing it, but Jesus, man, I want more matches. The one thing I really dislike is the year-long or the 2-year-long rivals with 2 guys at each other, and you never see any wrestling out of them except scrub matches and shit. You know what I mean?
I kind of like that because
I
you wanna
don't
build
watch
it up.
wrestling for the talk. I do watch wrestling for the talk, but
that's how
only
you get a
if-
rivalry going. It's story and then match. I don't like match and story.
you
Then
get
story.
a
I
good
want-
rivalry going when you're playing. You're playing against the field, dude. When you're only playing against certain people, then that's not a rivalry, and I don't think it shows much of your talent either. I mean, I want to see you fighting everybody.
Right, but I mean, again, though, like I'll give you an example. Like this is what I hate.
That's all. Thank
Okay,
you.
Adam Cole is going to fight MJF on Dynamite this week for like a title eliminator. Now, why does see? I want Adam Cole to like build up first. You know, have a few matches. He should be the number one contender already, rather than have. Okay, because
if he was going through a tournament, everybody would know this. If we had tournaments, we wouldn't have to watch fucking Dominic. Okay? Because he'd already been eliminated by now.
He's getting heat, dude.
Yeah, but
he's like one of the most hated guys on Raw right now.
I get that. I get that. And he can hang around. He can hang around with the low lifes like he does right now. But we wouldn't have to worry about, he's going to fucking do something than the WrestleMania to win. If I want a winner in WrestleMania, I want somebody who's worthy of it, even if they're a bad guy. But they got to be worthy of it.
Good comment from Nathan. Here's the issue: no one truly stands out in wrestling anymore. I think other than Roman Reigns, who else does stand out?
Enough battles, man. There's not. I don't think there is. There really isn't, man.
I don't think.
All right, I get it. WWE is commercialized as fuck. Okay, so they're promoting all their stuff, all their clothing rounds, and all their whatever else they got going and shit all the time. But there's a big difference in wrestling now. I want wrestling. I want to see it.
No,
but see, Johnny, you're not going to get that though. They're past that, honestly, and that's the whole thing. They don't even come on. Let's be honest. They don't even call it wrestling anymore.
Yeah,
it's sports entertainment.
Yeah.
Right, and it's been that way for a long time. I'm with you. I grew up thinking, because remember, I grew up, and I'm sure you did too, for the longest time until I really caught on to what was happening. I thought wrestling was real. And as a young man going to matches at 10, 11 years old, I was heavily invested in what was going on. I don't know how many times I watched Nick Bockwinkel retain his title against all these different heels or, all the different baby faces. And I'm thinking, this is the time Bockwinkel's going to lose. This is the time that Bockwinkel's going to lose. And every time, Tricky Nicky would find a way to win the match. And you're going, oh, my God. I mean, I was so invested in what was going on. And then, honestly, to me personally, the internet ruined that in general because now you find out about every storyline. You find out about everything that's happening. This wrestler did this. This wrestler did that. The internet, to me, has ruined wrestling in that sense. And that I never used to know what went on backstage. I never used to know, that Bockwinkel was going to have a series of matches with this guy that's planned out for the next 6 months. You never knew any of that. You never knew what to expect when you watched a weekly program. Now you pretty much know what's going to happen. So we watch just to see, this happened, that happened. You watch for this interview, that interview. You watch because you like this wrestler or that wrestler. But the thrill of it for me is actually gone because I know what's happening on screen. And I never, as a child, I never did. And I do think that is something that unfortunately has ruined part of it for me. But I'm such a lifelong fan that I'll never stop watching. But I can
thrill
just
of
tell you that
old wrestling. The thrill of old wrestling was you got to see your superstars every fucking week wrestle.
Right, true.
You did. Dick Murdoch, Dusty Rhodes, those guys were in the ring every week, man.
Sure.
And it
beating
was
up on bones,
because
but they were
these guys are putting on a hell of a show, man.
Yeah,
and Sean, it's always been called wrestling.
We're going to wrestling, right? Wrestling.
But no, look, I'm with you, man. I look. The territory days was the best days because you had your NBA, you had your world class championship wrestling, you had your
Mid South,
Georgia AWA, Georgia Championship
Wrestling from Florida,
WWE.
Yeah, Florida Championship Wrestling with the Grams. Yeah, everything. Yep. McMahon had New York, the eastern part. You had WWF up there.
Right.
Vern Gagne had the Midwest with AWA. Jerry
Right.
Lawler was big in Tennessee. Then they had Mid-South down there. You had everything. You had the California promotion that all the Samoan wrestlers and all that. Yeah.
Promotion where Piper came from. You had
Yeah.
the Stampede Rest down in up in Calgary with the
Yeah,
Hearts.
Calgary, right. Stampede Wrestling, right. The Hearts and all that. Yeah, absolutely. Everybody had a
so you had-
territory. St. Louis. St. Louis was a territory.
St. Louis,
Yeah.
yep. Harley Race, yeah. You had anywhere to go. I mean, that's when wrestling was great.
Blackjack Mulligan.
Obviously, Vince took all the territories, bought them out, and he did put them on a big platform. You got to give him credit for that. The guys that came from the Tito Santanas, the Coco Bewares, Bobby Heenans, all those guys came from those territories. So they got to go on a bigger platform, which was good, and it was great. But like you said, the territories, you had different wrestlers. They can go here and there. I do miss those times. And with the internet coming back, coming up, for better or worse, I think for better and worse.
I still think it's for worse. I'm not going to lie. I learned a long time ago wrestling was predetermined. That I'm not saying that the internet ruined that, because I already knew that. But I'm just saying, as a child, not knowing was part of the fun. Yeah. And now it's just you can find out whatever you want about every episode of every week, because the internet's out there telling you everything that's going to happen. So that's the only thing, is it ruined a little bit of the magic for me. That's all. But
every Sunday after wrestling, man, we'd be out in the fucking yard, man, me and my friends and shit, just dropping bombs on people, each other and shit, man.
Exactly. Oh, I practiced on my friends too. Believe me, we had many a wrestling match in the front room or the bedroom. But I was a little fanatical back in the day. I won't lie.
Did you do?
I can't. The first time I broke my ankle was doing that shit.
And the earthquake on your friends there,
No, I didn't do the earthquake. I tried doing figure fours. That was a big one. Sleeper holds, of course. Roddy Piper had a great sleeper. A couple other guys used a sleeper hold. Stuff like that. I tried to do. I never tried to do a drop kick because I was never getting off the ground. But I had my arm bars. Your drags, your fireman's carries, things like that. Some basic wrestling moves.
Did you do a Toke Suicida on anybody, or?
No, definitely not. Definitely didn't do that.
I want to apologize for being late to your show. The first show that I've seen you come on early enough for me to actually get to, and I was over there watching the great Nicholas Rosario and Sean Smith.
I wanted to finish what these guys were talking. They had a real good show tonight, man. I'm glad you guys were able to, seriously, I'm not joking. Let everything out. And that's part of the whole show, was truth be told. And you guys did great, man. It was
you guys brought it, man.
We do appreciate it. I mean, we do. Again, Sean threw it at me kind of literally 2 weeks, a week and a half ago, hey, I have this idea. And I'm like, well, what is it? And that's kind of how Sean and I have been working a lot. The last is I have an idea. Let's do this, or let's try that, and I was like, you know what? That sounds like something I'd be interested in doing. Let's just throw it and see what sticks. So, we're 2 episodes in. Hopefully it'll continue. Hopefully you guys will continue to watch and chime in. We really appreciate the comments and you guys watching.
After Sean's last comment here, look at that.
I'm putting it up right now.
I hope it wasn't too much trouble, Sean.
Well, I hope it wasn't too much either, my friend. And Sean and I talked about that a little bit. How honest were we going to be? How, again, you're talking about some very personal stuff. And it's not always easy to do that and open up. But again, if it helps someone else or if it gets everybody talking, then Sean and I are more than happy to do that. And I think that's the biggest takeaway I can take from that. You know what I'm saying? So apologize if it would, again,
Sean, all I can say is
I haven't heard from any of the ladies I talked to, so we'll see. I don't know. Yeah.
Wrestling isn't real. I need to talk. Yeah, it is. Scott Taylor. Wrestling is real. God damn it. Okay.
Yes. They really go around in the ring and throw each other around and do those moves, and they do get legitimately hurt. Yes. They know who's going to win the match, but
Mankind,
they still have to go out and perform the match.
Right.
Yes,
Ask Mankind if those injuries are fake. When he gets injured, he's injured, man.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know about
Said I
today's wrestlers. I'm just joking. I do have.
No,
a
you know what, Sean? She should not be concerned, and I'll tell you why. No, because I mean, again, again, I don't.
Oh, I get it.
Your relationship is your relationship, right? I get that. You see that I didn't know before that because your ex commented. I get that. Okay, and again,
Then her mom.
that's that's and then Kate's mom. Yeah, see, but Kate's mom jumped in and gave us the compliment. So I mean, again, I think
Should put
it's
a warning
important.
label on that show.
No, but that was the whole thing. See, that's the whole point, though, is that Sean and I didn't want to do all that and be like, well, okay, guys, this could get we just wanted to talk and be open, and wherever the conversation took us, we went. That's exactly how we wanted to do it. It wasn't, it wasn't a lot of pre-planning or like, oh, this is specifically what we're going to talk about. It's let's just start going, and wherever the conversation goes. You know what I mean? And that's how we wanted to do it. So again, I think Sean will be okay because again, as long as he's open and honest and communicates, he's going to be fine. And so I think he'll be okay.
He tried.
She was with family.
Right. Right. I mean, nobody was trying to do. We weren't trying to.
It was a
Again,
good show. I don't care. I don't care. I'm sorry about if anything you're in trouble, Sean, but you guys really brought it, and she should be proud of that. That was a very good show, man.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you. Balance and communication. That's right.
Man. Exactly. It takes a lot. It really does. Relationships are hard work, no matter what they are.
Yeah, that's why you always got to have your B and C's, balance and communication, and Ben.
There you go, B and C's, baby.
You have to have a connection right. Also, you have to have.
You got your Ben Cornette, huh?
Yeah. What's that?
I got you.
You can't go looking for a relationship that works, man. Because if you're looking and it isn't going to work, really, because you're
desperate. You're desperate.
But no, I feel you. Believe me. Like I said, I could have talked for another 3 hours on a lot of other things, but again, we wanted to get to the point of things. Yeah, I was probably long-winded as it was. So yeah.
Talking about wrestling now, Sean and Kat tonight.
You're starting stuff again. Don't be starting rumors again.
Don't be starting. Don't be starting. All right, so back to Charlotte Flair returning to SmackDown. No.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what got that whole tournament thing going in my mind.
I did. Johnny was really adamant about the tournament. So,
if you earn the spot, then you earn the spot. I mean, it's simple math to me.
Well, again, we'll see what happens. Charlotte might not win the title.
I've always, and even in the old days, I've always been frustrated when somebody gets a title shot that I don't think has earned it over somebody who really has worked their ass off to get it. That's always bothered me.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get that, Johnny. And again, those unfortunately, those are things that just do happen in wrestling. I mean, let's be honest. There's one guy in particular that I think deserves a title run and has proven what a great wrestler he is, how he's willing to do anything, and that's Dolph Ziggler. Like, Ziggler is probably one of the most he works a lot of matches. He does all the house shows. So I mean, you don't see him on TV all the time, but he's got
what I'm talking about. Yeah. I'd like to
do
something.
Yeah, I'd love to see him get a run, but he probably won't, only because by now he's settled in, he's got his contract, he makes his money. And they use him the way that they use him, and he goes with it. And it's just like you said, it allows him to do the other things he likes to do now. He's at that later stage in his career. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, he takes a lot of losses, of course, but they bring him in to, wrestle with younger guys to build them up. He went back to NXT for a while, became the champion there, and then worked with other guys to get them over. Like, sometimes guys just women are used that way. Look at Natalya. How long has Natalya been doing this, honestly? Like, she's been with WWE. She's the longest tenured woman in WWE.
Maybe
14, 15 years she's been there. And she's maybe won the title once or twice where she actually had the title. But they use her.
Yeah.
She had the Divas title and I think the women's title for maybe a hot second. And they basically use her to put everybody over, or if they need a good match from someone, they put her with it. You know what I mean? And think about this. Who do you think put Charlotte over? Since we're talking about Charlotte, we'll tie this back to it. It was really Natalya in that NXT match that put her over
In
and
NXT,
made Charlotte. You know, she put Charlotte on that next level because she had a really good match with Natalya. Natalya, that's what she can do for someone, is give them a good match and make them look good. And that's what they use her for. And that did propel Charlotte into that next level. I mean, Charlotte is.
Let me ask you both a question, actually.
Yeah, sure.
If you were writing an algorithm to promote your guys, how would you start your algorithm? What would you be looking for in a guy that you want to push up to the ranks?
Well, I'm looking for
me.
I'm looking for a guy that can get over on the mic, can tell a story. He doesn't have to be the bodybuilder, the 6'8". You know, that helps.
Yeah.
The cosmetics help, but if you can get over with your presence, with how you talk, how you walk, how you can get a crowd react, that's what you're looking for. You want somebody that can talk you into the seats, as they say, it's a wrestling term. Talk you into the seats and stuff like that. That's what I would be looking for.
All right, take away the body, and you'd be looking at Goldberg then, because he could talk.
Well, so here's the thing. I disagree slightly with Ben. I get where he's going, and I agree for the most part. But then you have guys who are I feel like, you definitely have to have some sort of presence. You do. I won't deny that. But some of these people, you can teach them to come out of their shell and talk a little bit more and get it. Like, look what happened with The Rock. You let him just say what he wanted to say, and it changed his entire career.
Yeah.
Because he was going absolutely nowhere as Rocky Maivia. They hated him. They booed him. They told him he sucked and all that. And all it took was him giving him a chance to just let him say what he wanted, and look what happened. Like, I'll give you an example of a guy who was pushed because he was great on the mic, but he was a terrible wrestler, and that's Enzo Amore. That guy couldn't wrestle a 3-year-old in a playpen. Like, he wasn't that good. But he could talk, Ben said, he could talk you into the seats. And that act he did with Big Cass with the whole, SAWFT soft and all the, can't teach that and all thing. It was great. Their entrance was phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
But after that, they had to wrestle.
That's what I'm talking about.
So what would what's your algorithm? What algorithm?
Right. See, I personally, this is why I said this is where I slightly disagree with Ben, because again, you do have to have a presence. But I want someone who I think can tell a story in the ring with their wrestling, not so much on the mic, because you could always give somebody a mouthpiece if they need one to help them in that regard. Yeah. You give them someone who can talk, like a Paul Heyman, and they let the wrestling in the ring speak for themselves. And again, that's probably why Brock got over as well. Brock is a specimen and physically and what he can do. This guy was an amateur wrestler. Okay, this guy is strong. This guy can wrestle anybody at any time. But what did his character become? It became, this is what I do. I'm just going to beat you down. I'm going to suplex you to death. I'm going to F5 you, and the match is over. Right? That's it. That's what his character became. And Paul Heyman was his mouthpiece. Brock didn't talk for the longest time, and he didn't have to.
Paul Bearer talked for the Undertaker for
and that's what exactly. But Taker could go in the ring, and he had the presence, he had everything, but he didn't have to talk. He had his mouthpiece.
I agree with the part with you, but Brock Lesnar's like 6'8", dude. Like, he's a huge. So he had that. He already had that.
Daniel Bryan's 5'9", but look at that guy. What happened with him?
But he still got over because of his personality, his character.
Right, but he couldn't talk in the beginning either. He wasn't that great of a guy on the mic when he first started.
But Kurt Angle wasn't very good on the mic either when he first started. But
no, and that's why I say, for me, I want a guy who can tell that story in the ring. We can, work on the other stuff, but I want somebody who can get in there and wrestle. That's what I want to see personally.
I want to see somebody who can take it like Mankind.
But Nick, you still got to get to that ring to tell that story. You have to put yourself out there. The fans have to want to see you first, believe in you first before they want to see you in the ring. That's
Well,
that's
when
what
you're getting,
that's
when
what-
you get to
could win.
WWE, they've established their stuff like that, except
Well, not
they're not on
everybody.
a big
Some people
stage.
were homegrown
They
there,
work
but
stuff up.
I'm just saying, like you can. But I'm saying that stuff you can work on.
Yeah.
To me, if you can go in the ring and you can wrestle and you can get to that point, like look at Seth Rollins. He's a very good example. He's great in the ring,
Prime example. Yeah.
but in the beginning wasn't that great on the microphone.
Now
but
look at him.
What he hit his stride, he just was started being himself. The way he dresses, the whole character thing, like this is me, this is what I do, and wham. Every time that guy walks in the arena now, they chant his thing, and the guy can wrestle. Like we all know that. Seth is a great wrestler. And
Also,
again, it
Nick,
took him a while to get there, and he was pushed. They gave him that push too. But still, I don't think it's like if you look at greatest okay, let me ask you this question, both of you, because we've all watched wrestling for a very long time. For me, just for me, the top three talkers in wrestling, guys who were on the mic, were just absolutely magic. Roddy Piper, Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
Well, okay, those are my top two. 3, 4, 5. You can kind of. There's a couple of guys who were good on the mic.
You got
Could
the
do both.
Well, Ric Flair was the whole thing,
Yeah.
right? Because to me, I'm going to be honest with you, and some people may hate me for this. Flair was great on the mic, but to me, not the best wrestler out there.
Yes, thank you.
Rick did a lot of the same stuff in every match. He became really good at what he did with the flying over the top rope and running to get the clothesline and doing the face first dive after getting punched like 6 times. And, the figure 4 leg lock. Here's a guy who could go an hour every night. So I don't want to take that away from him. But if you're looking at pure wrestling talent, Flair got over for other reasons. Yes, because he was pushed that way. He's the 60-minute man. He does, he wrestles hours every night. But I saw him. I told you, one of the best matches I ever saw was a house show here in Chicago. Ric Flair wrestled Rick Steiner to an hour time limit draw. But actual wrestling in the ring, they probably only wrestled for about maybe 40 minutes. And a lot of the stuff in the beginning was headlocks, arm drag takedowns. Because Steiner was an amateur wrestler. He could go.
Yeah,
and I think, I'll be honest with you, in that particular match, Steiner carried a lot of it. Because again, not that Flair, because like I said, Flair would go an hour most nights, but Flair had a certain moveset and certain things that he did that that was his thing. And he did all those in that Steiner match. He took the face first bump. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with that. But here's why I think Ric Flair was a very good wrestler. It's for what you said. He told a story in the ring.
Right. No, I'm saying right. Like that's what I meant. As far as ability, he wasn't the best wrestler, but he could talk you into the building, and then he could, like you said, tell that story in the ring. Agree with that. I do agree with that.
Nick did say he was a total package. So yeah,
right.
he
I thought
Bret
Hart's 1997 was one of the best performances from a wrestler I've ever seen. Because for the first, Bret, whole U.S. versus Canada, Bret was better on the mic. Like he was kind of okay, but he told a great story in the ring. But he also became a major draw when he got on the mic, when he turned heel. When they had the whole U.S. versus Canada.
Oh, I remember. That was
so he did that in reverse. But that doesn't work for everybody, though, Nick. I think personality has to get the people to come.
Well, you got to have a personality. You can't not say anything and get over it. I mean, you have to say something.
Some people should not say anything.
Well, no,
there's so many of them
that
I've muted them when they're talking. I just shut up, dude.
I get that, and there's, like I said, I think a perfect example of that is Baron Corbin. I think he's horrible on the mic. Like, I think he should just stop talking altogether. Like, he just doesn't. That's just not his thing. But
on the mic. He's lame.
No, but Roman has gotten 10 times better than what he was. Roman has actually gotten better, and I think because of the way they pushed him initially and fans rebelled, when he was able to come back as the heel, that worked for him again. because he got to be more of, I think, himself and more of his personality. Here's a guy who grew up playing football. You know, he played at Georgia Tech. He tried to play professionally. Here's a guy who had a bit of an attitude and had a competitive nature to him. But you're trying to push him down everyone's throat as this baby face that everybody's supposed to like. And they're like, no, I don't like this guy.
And that holds true for most wrestlers. If they don't have a segment of heel in them, then they become vanilla and boring. Okay, I get that part. Right. But to me, it's all about the action for me. I started watching wrestling for the action. I was watching those cage matches. Of course.
So did I. Absolutely, 100%.
About what they were saying. I wanted to see the brutality and how much they can take. And that was the amazing part of wrestlers back in the day to me, is all that they could take. They took punishment, man, serious punishment.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you don't see that no more. And we watched, what was that? Was it Royal Rumble? No, it wasn't Royal Rumble. Oh shit. When it was in a cage match, but I can't remember which one it was. But I saw a little glimmer of that. But I was like, it was so lame. I was like, come on, guys, step it up a little bit. Come on. Well, these guys are getting big contracts, and they're not signing off on the whole deal, is what it is to me.
Scott Taylor, that's another story for another episode.
That's another episode on its own, my friend. I think, that's a
I'm not saying that's not true, because there's a lot of truth to that. There is a lot of truth to that, my friend. We'll call this dark side of Face the Heels one day, maybe.
The dark side of the heels, or whatever. Dark side.
If you want to know more about that, there's a show on Vice that will open up a lot of your answers for you.
There you go. 100%.
Oh yeah, Dark Side of the Ring. We know it's a. Does anybody watch that one? I watched the Candido Tammy Stitch one.
I did watch that one. I want to watch the Magnum TA one next.
I don't have Vice anymore, man, and that really bothers me. That's the one thing that killed me about cutting the cable, man. I was like, oh,
but
now I don't have
they're
Vice.
On YouTube, Johnny. People always put them up. You could find them. Yeah. That's how I watch. I watch it on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have cable either. I cut the cord, baby. Cut it. Cut the cord.
Yeah.
Done.
It hurt at first, but it's okay. I got so many freaking streaming sites, man, and so many shows to watch that I'm never going to be without. You know what I mean?
Right. That's what. I did the same thing. I get. I got a couple of streams I pay for a month, and I'm good to go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh God. Yeah. Who's Facebook user?
We're not sure.
How low
can you go? In what context there, Mr. Taylor? How low can we go on what?
I think that should be Scott's new show. Like, how low can you go?
Yeah, how low can you go, sir? Right. I mean, it can't get much lower. It can't get much lower than being a Rams fan these days, can it? Just saying. Oh, look at Ben's face. But just kidding, Scott. Just kidding.
Oh boy,
Scott Taylor. Thank you, Scott. Sounds like I'm telling on everybody. It's Scott Taylor.
Oh man. Well, gentlemen, this has been a lot of fun tonight. I'm glad you guys came on.
Thank you.
Where can we find you, man? Besides your show tonight, where else can we find you at, my friend?
Well, okay. Well then, like I said, Sean and I, with our recent foray into Truth Be Told, we're going to try to stick with Mondays for the most part. I do have a lot of Mondays where I am free, it seems like, so I hope we can continue that. Here, again, every time I'm available, Ben, I like to come on Face the Heels. Thank you very much. Thursday, I'm always invited to be on, so whenever I'm free on a Thursday night, NFL Edition with, of course, Alex Loosemore, Johnny Dean. Of course, I love to chat with you guys about whatever we're talking about. The trivia is always fun because I never know anything. But yeah, and of course, Tuesdays during the football season, and we'll still, again, you'll see us again before football starts. The round table on Tuesday nights, usually around 7:30 Central, with Delilah Crespo, Anthony Handy, and Tina Winter, myself. So catch that. So yeah, I'm around. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate all the love. You guys are the best. Thank you very much, Ben, for having me on. Appreciate it.
All right. And you, sir? Okay.
I'm all over the fucking place, man.
That's enough sharing. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you again for joining us tonight on Face to Heels. Great episode. We kind of got back on track after last week. Again, nobody's fault. Just that happens sometimes.
These things happen, right? Unfortunately,
gotta steer the ship back to the waters. But fun show, and next week here on Face to Heels. So everybody, enjoy your week.
We talk wrestling tonight, man.
And have a great one.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night, guys.
Later.
All right.